Aloha, everyone. Michelle with Blossom Inner Wellness, and I'm here with Cynthia Bartlett, and she is among the many women who are with Moms for Liberty. And we're going to be talking about why there are sexually graphic novels in our libraries and in our schools that are targeting children. So, Cynthia, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me. I think one of the big surprises for all of us parents and freedom people and all of us looking are really surprised with why are these books in the libraries? They weren't there a few years ago. And
Nope.
During COVID, it seems to be a change in a worldview, a way of thinking. And in particular, a lot of the teachers union feel like they have to redo what child development means, which they believe, and in our administration, our federal administration has also said publicly that they believe that children are sexual beings, and therefore sexual education should happen as early as kindergarten, and some even say in preschool, which is very different from a lot of us moms and grandmas who have been thinking that sexual education is when the parents decide it should be. And we also thought that sex ed in school was the biological, teaching the biological. In fact, one of the things I want to note is Hawaii has a law called the Obscenity Protection Law. And that actually protects books that are both in the libraries and in the schools. And if they do contain, say, graphic sexual materials, they have kind of a safety protection factor. And you ask yourself, why would our state, I think 11 states have obscenity protection laws. The reason was back in the old days, 15 years ago, when they first started having sex ed classes, what if a teacher had to show, a body part or talk about some body functions? They didn't want either the librarian at the public library or a school teacher or a school media library person to get accused of operating porn in any way. So they passed a law out of good intention at the time called the Obscenity Protection Law, and it went into our state constitution. So that is not something that it's problematic for us today, because when they made that and with good intentions, and now we see a book that's a graphic novel and it might have 6 pages describing a rape scene. How is that actually of scientific or literary value? So we're in a position where we can't be naive. We do have to realize that we have a state obscenity protection law that allows them to couch these types of things and call it education. And it's in our state it's in our state constitution. And a lot of people don't know this, but to change our state constitution is a huge, huge process. You have to get it first passed by the representative, and then after that passed by the House, which means you have to have both parties working together. And it's a multi-year process, years and years to do it. So I think when we start the conversations about library books, they could shut us down right away with the obscenity protection law. So I think it's a good idea to bring it up every time and say, the obscenity protection law was not meant for what we're seeing in the books today. Absolutely. So before we get going, I just wanted to kind of cover that, because otherwise we'll get blindsided from the very get-go, because they are protected and they can have obscenity because 11 states have passed this. And to be real, we're gonna have to work with it.
Okay, so let's go. So let's go into why are these books? And if you're this and you're just like, what are they talking about? Look at, let's talk about it. And in fact, I'm going to put the link to the latest Hawaii Freedom Action below in the description. So, and that actually has 4 pages of pictures, cartoon pictures of minors having gay and hetero sex with each other. Minors in cartoon images. Literally, if they were real children, it would be child pornography.
And another thing we have to be careful of, groups like yours and mine and other groups, is they're now getting lawyers and shutting us down for sharing their pictures. So we're finding in some of our library challenges, which I'll explain what that is that we have to, instead of actually including the pictures now, we have to put like a little box and describe what it is that they were showing, because they're going after us for their intellectual property rights and for copyright transgressions. So we have to be smart in so many ways. And we haven't even talked about why they're pushing for this in the first place. But I'm just warning you, because you could have your YouTube channel actually taken down just by covering the content in these books out of your goodwill, what you're trying to do. It could backfire against you, because they're right now holding more power than we are.
Okay, so I'm going to take off those pictures, but let me just say, it is oral sex. It is cartoon images of minors. You can see it in the cartoon image that it is a minor having oral sex, having anal sex, having learning how to masturbate, having learning about butt plugs in gay sex, and the verbiage is all like, oh, this is so fun to explore my body, and it's shocking. It was shocking.
It's very shocking. And they also have another school of thought, which is pleasuring. And that's even more shocking, that I have seen a book for first graders on masturbation, and they defend it. Many teachers unions defend it because, like I said, they're changing the way they think about child development. And they think this is a healthy thing to teach children that they're sexual beings and that it's a healthy thing to pleasure. But it's this, what doctors, the old pediatricians used to say, once you show this to a child, they can't unsee it, and it does affect their development. Well, all of this has been thrown out the window now, because we have a worldview that's being pushed. So what I wanted to say to you tonight was, we have to stop for 1 minute and ask ourselves, why are they pushing so hard to get these sexually graphic, is what you call them when they're cartoons, they're graphic novels, and sexual conversations into the room. For instance, there's a high school history student here in where I live, and he looks like a manly man football player, but he comes into his class with 6-inch red high heels. And so there's something that they call what's called generative content. And the idea behind us talking about these books or talking about the teacher with the red high heel shoes is that we're generating content for them. And once questions are being asked and once the content is generated, then they are in a safe place saying that, well, they're just answering the questions of the students. So they're saying, the very smart people who are working in this field are saying that when we go in front of the school board as a parent, and I've already done this, I've held up genderqueer and opened the page, and they have those kind of pictures like we described. And we have, I think, I forget if we have 9 or 11 people on our school board, but I showed them graphic pictures and they didn't even flinch. And we have to realize that they might agree with us that it's pornographic, but they really don't care, because their position is there's an ideology going through what's called education schools. They're called ed schools, where the teachers go to colleges and the superintendents are trained in these schools. And they have an ideology there where they really think children should be sexualized. And it's part of also being kind for the transgender children. That's like love and compassion and kindness. And what it is we know the word empathy, like you and I, but women are, and mothers are particularly empathetic. And what happens is they're weaponizing a lot of things like empathy and open conversations, and they're using it against us right now. And what I wanted to tell you is the actual thinking behind the ideology is one of which to disrupt our entire Western civilization. Because what they do is, when you disrupt the way the children think, for example, these generative conversations, even if we took out 20 books next week, these authors could produce 1,500 books in 3 weeks. And it's like whack-a-mole for us. We find, oh, genderqueer, or, the book that you found, or any of this. That is probably we're going to have to create a statute to make some kind of levels of public awareness, where the public gets, at least in the schools, where we get a chance to review it. Florida just sent me their library statute that they wrote today. And they have a very smart approach that we could talk about another time. But right now, these books are in the schools and they're coming in record speed. There's literally hundreds of books being made each month on these subjects. And the question is, why? Why do these teachers care enough to push this sex and this gender and all of this on our kids? Why aren't they talking about math or English? And it's because they want to generate these conversations about oppression. So if they can take the children in a classroom and convince them that they're, say, a different gender, or they're fluid, or they're binary, they can talk about, well, they're more of a minority, and that these regular kids, the way civilization is oppressive. So everything now is very, very critical. Education is dividing everything between oppressor and oppressive. And so whether it's a gender conversation, or whether it's a queer conversation, or whether it's about the color of skin, it all goes down to this oppressor thing, which is, some say it's a new form of Marxism. It's kind of like that, but the purpose is to disrupt anything normal. In fact, queering the children does not mean a bad word anymore. Queering the children means to make things anti-normal. So they look at the family, the nuclear family, and that's normal. And so they need to normalize that. They need to denormalize all these things that we hold in our culture to be solid things. But they need to, they're revolutionaries in actuality. And the purpose of critical education is not really so much to educate the students, but to make them into little, protesters and activists for specific causes. So every time they bring these books into the classroom, and the parents get up there and they go, "Wah, da, 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 da," they have a victory on their side, because what they're doing is they're saying, oh, you see, we're oppressing, we're oppressive. We have our old ways of thinking about morality and stuff, and it's very oppressive. So we're in a kind of a whack-a-mole game where this is a cultural revolution. It's not just a little immoral thing here and there. This is a very, very big cultural revolution, and they have taken over the education colleges and the schools. And so the old teachers don't feel like this. You probably noticed. The old teachers are going, I'm going to retire, or I'm getting out of here, or I'm going to be quiet, or I get fired. Well, why is that? Well, it's because the young teachers from ed schools are coming in, and this is more like a religion to them. It's not really politics. It's a form of religion where they're breaking apart society as we know it, and what they think is they're rebuilding a world, to build back better kind of a world on a moral level. And so this whole thing about the crazy books and the sex is just an avenue to get there.
Oh my goodness. And so they just want, they're doing this just to create a whole new culture. Like they said, it takes one generation to change society, because all you have to do is teach the children.
Right. And some people call it wokeness, or some people call it neo-Marxism. It really doesn't matter what you call it. But the point is, it's not going to be the same as what their families believe at home. For example, in Maine, they just passed a law to make it possible to arrest parents if let's say a child at school decided they were different gender. And that's very easy to, if you're a teacher and you're an authority figure, they can say things like, if you feel uncomfortable in your own body in some way, that probably means you're trans, and let's look into this more. And there's a safe place here at school for you. And it's best that you don't tell your parents. So to make it safe, we're going to change your pronouns at school. That's called social transitioning. And Hawaii, when we were in COVID in 2021, passed an act saying that age 14 and over, you can actually keep all of these things secret from the children. You can actually have them have medical psychology appointments and medical appointments and not even tell the parents. So we believe that this year, just like Maine, they're going to introduce bills here in Hawaii to lower that age and bring these same ways of thinking. We have to realize that unless we really know our enemy, we cannot win. And why are these people doing this? Is they believe they are morally superior and they are correct. They're not doing it because they think they're bad people. It's like the witch burning of old. They burn the witches to save the villages, you know. And so these people really believe that they're creating a better society where children are more aware of sex, and maybe they are not so binary with boys and girls, they're fluid. And these are all the ideas that are in the schools and given more emphasis than even math or English or science.
Oh my goodness. So first, what can we do then if we can't, like, this is, so I put an email out about contacting the library, and they have a reevaluation form that we fill out talking about this book and saying this needs to be taken out because it's literally child pornography in cartoon images. And it's in the children's section. It's not even in the adult section. It's in the children's section. In most, if not all, of the libraries on all the islands in the state of Hawaii, as well as other places. So what can we do that is going to make an impact? And what do you see? So you said the bills. So we'll be watching the bills coming in 2023. But what do you see in the schools? So first off,
I think you're talking about the public library right now.
Yes.
I think that I really believe we need to concentrate in school, elementary, and school, middle school, in the school libraries. Yeah. Because when you get a student ID in Hawaii, you get a 10-digit student ID, and you can go online in your Chromebook and on your apps. And you not only see the library at your school, you go into what's called Sora, and Sora is a digital program. And inside Sora, you get all these other digital books, and it says add a library, and they can add that library, that public library onto their apps. So I think for us, I think our job is to wake up parents. And I think that we'll shock them the most by gathering actual data of what is in elementary and middle school, because I don't think we're going to shock any high school parents or any high school people, because they can see with the internet today, they can see just about anything. But I think we'll get more. I mean, we can definitely work on the public libraries, but I think we should start in the schools, because these same nasty things are in the schools. And the Board of Education here wants to know exact things. They don't want to know our opinions as parents. So, we started that document, and we need some parents to help us to actually do some online work. It's like an online document that we can find out where it is. And we can pretty much find out in that Sora software if it's in the public library too. And we can write that into the document. And then what they're doing in Florida is a new statute, and we have to talk to a lawyer who knows about the Hawaii obscenity protection law and the statute, because we have an extra problem in Hawaii where we can't just write a statute and say, no, because they can come back to us and say, well, this is all protected in that obscenity protection law. So we definitely need some legal guidance.
Okay, so we need an attorney who understands the obscenity law here in Hawaii. And you are welcome to, if you are watching this and that's you, or you know somebody, please email Michelle at blossominnerwellness.com. And Cynthia, what's your email?
My email is Moms for Liberty with the digit 4, Moms for Liberty Honolulu at gmail.com.
Gmail.com. Awesome. And and then getting more parents involved. Can you send me something that I can put in the description where people can find you? Okay, cool. So please look at the description if you're a parent. And these pictures, these images are not teenagers. They're like 10 years old. Yeah, they're
it's very scary. And one of the things we can ask for is for an opt-in rather than an opt-out. In other words, so these books could be hidden in the libraries behind a mature section.
Yeah, yep, absolutely. Okay, and just this images alone are just okay. So
Well, we have to realize it's not just a few teachers. It's the school teachers unions, not just in Hawaii, but at the top, the National School Teachers Union. Like I said in the beginning, it's a culture war. It's not just a little odd thing that's happening. It's happening in every state.
That's, it's so funny, or not funny, but I saw these videos of parents going to the school board, and I was like, oh my gosh, and I naively thought that's not going to happen here in Hawaii. And then I was sent pictures of this book, and I was like, oh my God. So okay, so we'll send that in the link below. And you want to share, Cynthia?
So can I share it with you later? Okay, because it's a document that is more private for the committee that wants to work on the books, but they could definitely email Moms for Liberty with the number 4 honolulu@gmail.com and ask to work on the committee and help us, because we want to go to the Board of Education and also to the library. I talked to the head librarian in Hawaii, and they think all of this is fine at this point.
Oh my gosh, they think cartoon pictures of minors having gay and heterosex is fine.
Yes, so that's what we have to understand in our minds, is that they think that the children being educated on sex is actually the proper way to do it. So whether us parents are still being shocked, but the administrations that are pushing down from a federal level, this is the change that they do want. They want this permanent change.
Okay, all right. So I'm breathing. And I don't have children. So, but I used to be a child, and I freaking love kids. And I remember, when I was under 10 years old, I didn't even think about boys. I didn't even understand my own body. And that would have changed everything for me.
Part of talking about sex so often in schools, I don't know if you know this, but they're conflating the idea of sex and gender together. And so a little kid comes to school and they want to do it as young as preschool, but they tell the young children, the doctor took a guess at your birth. The doctor guessed what you were assigned at birth. And so they say that, and now you get to decide your gender by what's in your feelings. And if you talk about, and that's where the puberty blocker medicines come in. So in Hawaii at age 14, you can take the puberty blockers without your parents knowing. So these are the bills that are going to be lowered. In many states, it's age 12. And puberty blockers, once kids are on puberty blockers, 90% of them go on to take cross-sex hormones, and those are very damaging. And it's like if you went through a phase when you were young and maybe you wanted to be a pirate or a princess, the schools right now, the school counselors are very radicalized, the school counselors in the schools. And if your child does a one-on-one with a school counselor, chances are they're really going to talk a lot about gender. And they're going to say, well, what do you feel in your mind? So maybe you'll be a fluid. And they don't appreciate any cis, which means normal boy, normal girl. They're always talking about the gender fluidity. And it's very confusing for children. And then if children hide, the last thing I want to say is if children hide these pronouns for months and months at school, and then the health teacher guides them when they should come out and tell their family. So strangers are guiding them when they should tell their family. And I was on a Zoom with the Hawaii Teachers Union, and the teacher actually said, yes, we do keep it hidden from parents, and we decide when and we tell the student how to tell your parents. So then they tell their parents, and they go, I'm a pansies, or some name like that. And the mother or the father's going to go say, what? And they're going to go, and then they're trained to say, well, they told me at school you weren't going to be safe for me to talk to. So
Oh my
in Maine, the new law is if a parent were to say that, a parent can be arrested now. If that law in Maine passes, a parent can be arrested for not immediately, it's called affirming your child. So even if you want to say, well, honey, let's talk about this, let's wait and see how you feel, that's called anti-affirmation. So we think that bill is coming to Hawaii as well. So it cuts parents out of very important conversation. No parent is going to be against their dysphoria if the child truly has it. But what we don't think is correct is rushing into a medical solution without talking to anyone, without giving it any time. And this is what the trans activist movement wants. It wants immediate gender affirmation, which is medical. It starts with social, with the pronouns, and then it moves into medical.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so
that's called the culture war.
Okay. Wow. Well, thank you so much, Cynthia. For those of you watching, you want more information, give your email one more time, Cynthia.
Yes, we need help if you want to be on these library committees too. It's online work that you can do at your own time. And my email is Moms for Liberty Honolulu, and it's the number 4 at gmail.com. And you can just donate an hour or 2 hours a week and help us with this library project so we can bring it to the Board of Education and the librarians and say, look, this is what we found. And this is what we want to start a rating system, or, we want a solution, but we can't just go in with opinions. They've already said they don't want to hear opinions.
Okay. I would love to do a quick prayer if you're open, because I think this is very much a spiritual war. And I feel that there is a darkness that is, the light prevails. It always does. Love always prevails. But let's just end this this interview with the prayer. Okay. Infinite source of all things, source of love, source that creates the stars in the heavens, and who has created this planet and moves the sun across the sky and runs the tides in the ocean. We know that you have a plan, and we don't have to know what that plan is. But we just ask right now that you hold this planet and all sentient beings, all children, all parents, moms, dad, grandpas, grandmothers, uncles, and aunts in your heart, and you guide us. You guide us to do what is right for humanity, that to unify us all in oneness under you, great spirit of love, of harmony, of unity. And we know that there are dark entities right now in the world that want to separate families, separate children from mother, and children from father. And so we ask right now that your guides, your angels, support the families, support the parents, support the schools, and those who are change makers, those who can make choices to do the right thing for our keiki, to do the right thing for society, to honor all of the love and the strength that is the family, the strength that is the mother, father, child. And we are so grateful for this guidance that is always with us. We are so grateful for the courage to do what is right, even if it's not easy, for what is right done enough times does become easy. And we are so grateful, Mother Earth, for being this foundation that we walk on every single day. And we ask all guides and all angels to be with us now in this time of spiritual transformation toward the light and the love that is always with us, never ever has left us. And we know that it is here, it is now, and it is done. We ask this in so much mahalo from our hearts. We ask this in Jesus' name. We ask this in the infinite source of love of all things. And so it is.
Amen.
Awesome. Cynthia saying thank you so much. And I will be talking with you soon. Much aloha and mahalo, everyone, for watching.
Bye.